I am Herman Van Praag. I'm the grandfather of this great interviewer, and well, I am an old man, I would say, 88. I don't feel so old because I'm still very active, but I am an old man, 88 years, and I am a psychiatrist. And I worked for many years in several universities in Holland, and also for a long time in the States, in New York, in the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. And I spent a good deal of my life, of my professional life, in studying brain and behavior, biological psychiatry. So studying the relationship between brain function and behavior, and disturbed brain function and disturbed behavior.
My name is Micah Van Praag, and last year in December I went to the Netherlands to interview my grandparents. This documentary is going to be about my grandfather, Herman Van Praag. What makes him so special is that he survived the Holocaust, and after the Holocaust he really made the best out of his life. He became a pioneer in psychiatry and also a writer of many books about psychiatry, but also about religion and our brain. He's an incredibly wise man, and I interviewed him at his house in Apeldoorn, which is right across from Het Loo. That is a palace, that is one of the palaces of the Dutch royal family. And I also joined him on his daily walk through the palace park. And to me it is very unique and special that someone with these experiences is my grandfather, and I'm very honored to tell this story to you. So this documentary, is going to be about how the Holocaust changed my grandfather, Herman Van Praag.
As you know, in 1933, the Nazis conquered power in Germany, and from the very beginning he didn't make it a secret that he hated the Jews and what he had in mind with the Jews. And that was, of course, an issue of great concern at home. It was discussed by my father and mother, and I listened, and it did influence my my development. It did influence my living before the war, between 1933 and 1940. In 1940, you know, the Germans conquered Holland, but before that time, in those years, it was a matter of great concern, not only for Jews in general, not only for my parents, but also for me as a small boy. But then in 1938, there was the so-called Kristallnacht, the Crystal Night, in which the Germans, the Nazis, destroyed many synagogues and Torah and the world didn't react. Prime Minister in Holland didn't react, the European countries didn't react, America didn't react, the Vatican, the Pope didn't react. So I think Hitler thought, I can do whatever I will with the Jews, the world will be silent. So in the end of the 30s, it became very clear that it was an extremely dangerous situation for the Jews. But no one could really imagine that time what would happen. The systematic destruction of 6 million Jews was unthinkable, but it did happen. But in 1940, Germans invaded Holland. In 1941, they introduced also in Holland the Jewish laws, anti-Jewish laws. And first of all, I was not allowed anymore to be a member of all kinds of clubs. My friends were afraid to come home, and I was not very welcome in their houses because people were afraid. They knew that to to be in contact with Jews was a dangerous situation for them as well. So it was quite lonely. Beginning of 42 or end 41, I suddenly was taken from school by the Grüne Polizei, the Green Police. That was a Nazi police force. And I went home, and we were, the whole family, all of a sudden, I came home at 3 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock we were transported. My father to Camp Westerbork, and we to the ghetto in Amsterdam.
So, while being in the camps, how did you view your future?
Well, that was, of course, the future was highly, highly uncertain. First of all, you could be transported to a destruction camp any day. Secondly, there were many, many diseases, infectious diseases, so many, many people died from disease or from starvation. So it was a great amount of uncertainty, and surviving was the main issue. To survive and hope that it would once end and that you could continue your life. But uncertainty and anxiety and anger, at least in me, it was very prominent. Of course, in the camps, the first thing was to try to put yourself together and stay that way, and try to survive, and to hope for the best. If your hope was disappearing, it often led to not surviving the camp. So the hope to survive, to go on, and was extremely important. And you have to have, or to develop a certain personality. People can stand a lot, fortunately. Now we live in a rather wealthy societies. But over the centuries, people have lived also in very dire circumstances, financially and in terms of health, and mankind survived. So, and there is also the evolutionary process. If you haven't got that rigor to fight, you disappear. So, to a certain extent, it is also the struggle, survival of the fittest, mentally fittest. First of all, you had to develop a fair amount of assertivity and aggressiveness. That's changed. And the second point in my personality structure, I like people, but I have not the greatest confidence in that they will be willing to assist you, to help you, if it is dangerous, if there is a risk that it damage their own life, of the life of their family. So I like people, but my trust is limited. And the third point is I always focus on, in difficult circumstances, on the worst possible scenario.
So you kind of got mentally stronger.
Yeah, I think so.
Time.
Yeah, there were people who were damaged by the camps, personality-wise, but not me. I think I feel I left the camp stronger than I entered.
So, what do you remember from the liberation of the camps?
Oh, that was what you call an apotheose. That was really, I never forget it. It was, in May 1945, when all of a sudden, in 1-2 days, we saw in the camp entering the Russian army. We were liberated by the Russian army. It was the last camp was in Czechoslovakia, south of Prague, the capital city of Czechoslovakia, and presently is that Czechia. And they came there in great numbers with tanks, with cars, but also with horses. The cavalry, the Cossacks, they came. There's a lot of soldiers, sort of horses, soldiers with heavy weapons, and during the night, and it was an unbelievable sight. The sight as such, and the fact that we were liberated. So I remember that very, very well. And it happened in a few days. And then after 3 months, the survivors left the camp and we went back to Holland. Happy? No, not happy. Relieved in an enormous degree. But not happy because we heard that I think many had already suspected that what had happened to the rest of the Jewish people. So that was a reason for great sorrow. But nothing, what we owned until 42 was ever returned. Everything, the books, the furniture, the house, everything gone. Robbed by the Germans and also by Dutchmen, I think the war finished. I came back. I had lost 3 years, and I said to myself, I want to make something out of my life, and I'm not going to be a victim. Thinking only about what happens, but I will be future oriented. And so after 2 weeks I went to the high school, to the principal, and I said, listen, I want to go directly to the 3rd grade.
So it'd be 9th grade?
Sorry. Yeah. And he said, well, how is that possible? You have so little preparation. But, he thought, well, that poor little boy from the camps, let's do it. And my father worked with me in mathematics, and for the rest I worked for myself. And, I succeeded. And, then afterwards, I went to Leiden to study medicine, etc., etc. But I didn't wait very long. From the very beginning, I thought I want to get ahead, be future-oriented, and I'm still future-oriented. You never forget your history. You shouldn't. That's part of your being. That is part of your life. But you shouldn't be a prisoner of your past. You should orient yourself in the future. What do you want? Try to reach it and to achieve it.
Herman Van Praag is 88 years old right now, and he still lives his life to the fullest. He still gives lectures, he still writes books, and he learns and travels. I think it's very important to look back at these events, especially because we can learn from them today. I think the biggest thing that we can learn from the most devastating event in human history, engineered by people themselves, by the Nazis, is that regardless of race, of religion, we should always accept and respect each other, because we're all humans. And on that note, I want to thank you so much for watching this documentary.